Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Next at noon, President Biden will soon be back in North Carolina as the search and rescue operation in western North Carolina expands in the aftermath of Helene.
Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is helping with the relief effort, but he's also facing criticism for what he's saying about Governor Cooper's response to the catastrophe, even from other Republicans.
And sunshine breaking out in a few places, but there's still a chance for showers this afternoon. I'll show you who may be in line for that.
We thank you for joining us this noon. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. As we see more of the devastation left behind by Helene, we're learning that more help is on the way.
Here's the latest on the recovery effort. More than 1,000 soldiers from Fort Liberty will head to western North Carolina to help. At least 69 are confirmed dead, and that includes 57 people in Buncombe County, at least 12 in Black Mountain.
And this afternoon, President Biden is coming to North Carolina to see the destruction firsthand. First, President Joe Biden is visiting South Carolina to speak with state officials and survey the response. Officials say the president will be visiting the upstate, which was substantially impacted by Helene. The White House said he will be arriving at Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport around 1:20 p.m. before conducting an aerial tour of affected areas. He will also fly over parts of Asheville and North Carolina this afternoon on his way to Raleigh. We are getting our first look on the ground at the devastation in the Black Mountain area.
WRAL's Brett Neese is live for us. And Brett, we know you're in Asheville right now, but you traveled for hours by ATV and on foot to get some of the Guerin Creek community there.
And Jeff and Renee, it was an unbelievable journey. The fire chief there showing us the worst of the damage. It's devastation that is hard to put into words. Not much is left of Wade Wright's community. The longtime Guerin Creek fire chief is doing his best to stay focused on his job as chief, despite losing multiple family members.
I know it'll hit eventually, but we still have our moments, but I try not to think about it right now because we got other things to take care of.
The catastrophic flooding and mudslides ripped through without much notice last Friday.
I realized we were stuck at the house. And in trying to save things and everything, the water rose so fast and got so strong that I just had to grab a post and hold on. And when it got up to about this close to the ceiling, I got worried that I was going to run out of air.
We heard countless stories of survival like Bud Marlowe's. Two women and their dog were inside one of these homes as it floated miles down the mountain. This is where it ended up. The people who found them say it's a miracle they're still alive.
I mean, we've had floods, but nothing like this.
Despite the horror, the community is proving to be resilient, setting up a shelter at a nearby church.
We're trying to get something a little more organized right now. We're not FEMA or anything.
There, residents can get fresh food and water, and thanks to one man's Starlink, they can let loved ones know they are okay.
That's the reality, is that not everyone made it.
The search for those missing only growing more desperate with each day. At least 5 urban search and rescue teams with dogs are in this community alone. A community essentially wiped off the side of the mountain. Chief Wright tells me that they have recovered 4 bodies at this point, and they know of at least 6 more people that are still missing. Live in Asheville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Bit of good news on the weather front, at least here right now. A weak front is crossing our area today, may bring a few isolated showers this afternoon.
So keep the umbrella close by. But right now we're seeing sunshine in Raleigh. It looks beautiful. Elizabeth Gardner with a look at the break in the clouds there.
It hopefully will lift folks' spirits to be able to see some of that sunshine, at least for a little while. We do still have a deck of clouds that you can see here as we look west across Wake County, but some blue sky up above, and we'll see broken sky on and off for much of the afternoon. We've warmed up to 77, and our dew point is down to 64, which puts us kind of middle of the road in terms of the way it feels out there. But we do have the potential through the afternoon to see a few isolated showers popping up, and we'll walk through Futurecast coming up in just a little while. Hour by hour, we'll see temperatures climbing up to around 80 degrees this afternoon, and then then as folks are headed home from work and school, temperatures will be dropping down into the low 70s. We have a new tropical depression, number 13, that's formed off the coast of Africa, likely to become a Category 1 storm, but is far from land even for the next 5 days. So one that we'll watch closely. Still a 40% chance that we could see some development here in the Gulf of Mexico. But a cold front that is headed our way by early next week is going to keep all that moisture down to the south. I'll show you what else that cold front will do for us here coming up in just a few minutes.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, something we've been keeping a close eye on are power outages across our state from Helene. Right now, the number of outages across the entire state, almost 350,000. And you can see the purple shaded area, Buncombe County and Henderson County. That is where most of the outages are. The website readync.gov, it's very helpful. They have all of the emergency information you might need, shelters, power outages, road conditions. Also, I've checked Duke Energy as well. They do have this message here saying they expect to have power restored to the majority of their customers no later than Friday evening, with the exception of areas that are inaccessible or unable to receive service, which are a lot of the counties out west.
You can make a difference right now for the people suffering through the devastation Helene brought to our state. All day, WRAL is raising money to help recovery and rebuilding efforts across North Carolina.
500 Side's Keely Arthur is live right now with the volunteers who are taking your donations. Keely.
Hello. Yes, these are all CBC employees donating their time to get your financial donations. The phone lines are ringing off the hook. We want you to call right now. Here's the number, 919-595-5005, 919-595-5005. This money is going to go to two separate funds, the American Red Cross and the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund. I actually was going to interview this lovely woman, Mandy Howard, but she is a little busy right now. So I'm going to let the Red Cross explain where this money is going to go.
Anything from meals, prescription drugs, anything that they might have lost immediately that they need to recover, we're going to be there and make sure that they get it.
And you can get involved today for this telethon between noon and 7:30. You can also go to WRAL.com and donate there as well. We know many people are accepting food, water, other items, but today is all about the money. The Red Cross is in dire need of providing shelter. The North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund will take money and then deploy that money to local nonprofits in Western North Carolina. This recovery and relief effort is going to take months, if not years. Even if you have $1 to donate, do it. That money is going to add up. I'm going to say this number one more time, 919-595-5005. Please call.
Great to see all those calls coming in there. Everyone behind you is on the phone. That's a great sign, and we look forward to taking your calls. Keely, thanks. 20 firefighters from 5 departments in Wake County are headed to Mitchell County. That's northeast of Asheville today. They will help with cleanup efforts. The firefighters spent the morning loading up trucks full of supplies. They hope to ease the burden on other fire departments in the North Carolina mountains and help those in need.
We just want to help serve the community here. Happy that Wake County was able to provide a team to go up there. Multiple departments here leaving today, head up to Mitchell County to do what we can for those in need.
If that were to happen here, we know the resources there would come help us. So we obviously want to repay the favor, and most of us are here because we want to help people. So that's why we're going to head up there and see what we can do.
More firefighters and EMS units will likely be headed to Western North Carolina in the coming days.
Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has been helping storm victims in Western North Carolina. He's now facing some criticism, though, for his actions and inaction. WRAL's NC Capitol team reported this morning the Lieutenant Governor skipped a vote last week for emergency services. WRAL's Laura Levine has this story.
Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has been working alongside the Franklin County Sheriff's Office to collect essential needs for those impacted the most by Helene.
As of midnight last night, our convoys had delivered more than 500,000 pounds of resources to Western North Carolina.
With relief efforts well underway, Robinson has been critical of Governor Roy Cooper on X since the very beginning. Today, once again, calling on him to send more resources.
We're calling on the governor to do even more in this state. We need more National Guardsmen on the ground.
But WRAL has learned through records that Robinson didn't vote for Cooper's request for emergency services last week ahead of the storm, a vote that helps mobilize aid in disasters more easily.
Can you speak to North Carolinians on why you did not?
Well, I don't even need to cover why, because here's the bottom line. My vote in that, that vote was going to pass with or without my vote, so it was absolutely inconsequential that me voting. It didn't matter.
Even though voting turns into a yes vote, Robinson has been criticized for not taking action. He's also taking heat for needling Governor Cooper in the middle of a crisis. Former Governor Pat McCrory telling our NC Capitol team, quote, "This is not a time for criticism. This is a time for working together. You don't do that while they're still in the middle of search and recovery." After taking several questions during this briefing, Robinson claims his motives are not related to this campaign, but to support the victims of the storm.
This is not about politics. This is not about running for any office. This is about a need and answering the need that was not met from the very beginning of this storm.
Laura Levine, WRAL News, Franklin County.
Check of stocks this noon. You see them right here on your screen. The Dow Jones Industrial Average started in negative territory today, but it has crawled back now. It is up 30 points right now. The S&P 500 is up 7 points marginally right now this noon. Also, the NASDAQ is up 55 points.
For the first and only time this election season, the vice presidential nominees took part in a televised debate last night.
That whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies.
Look, this is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do. We'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share.
Coming up, how the candidates responded to questions about Helene's destruction in North Carolina.
And once again, our WRAL Cares phone bank is open to help victims of Helene. To make a donation, call the number on your screen, 919-595-5005.
Recovery from Helene's devastation has become a major topic in the presidential campaign. The vice presidential candidates talked about it during their debate in response to a question about climate change. Both Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz expressed their heartbreak about the tragedy last night. They shared their differing opinions about the issue of climate change and the federal government's role. Moderators first asked Vance, then Walz responded.
We actually care about getting cleaner air and cleaner water. The best thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris has done exactly the opposite.
The solution for us is to continue to move forward that climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical, but this is not a false choice. You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the country.
There are no more presidential or vice presidential debates planned before the election.
Sean Diddy Combs may soon face new lawsuits stemming from more than 100 additional men and women. A Houston-based attorney says at least 120 people have contacted him. He says they claim Combs victimized them and others close to him. The accusations include sexual assault, rape, and sexual abuse of at least 25 minors, including a 9-year-old. The lawyer plans to file the cases against Combs next month. Combs has already been indicted on federal charges, including sex trafficking. His lawyers say he is innocent on all charges. High school athletes will be allowed to profit from their name, image, and likeness after ruling by a Wake County judge. The ruling reverses a decision by the State Board of Education that prohibits high schoolers from profiting from NIL. The ruling is the result of a lawsuit filed by Grimsley High School quarterback Faison Brandon. The Greensboro athlete is the top QB in the 2026 class. The ruling takes effect once the judge's order is signed, which could be as soon as the end of the week.
The WRAL Cares phone bank is open if you want to help those affected by the devastation in Western North Carolina. Our employees will be taking your donations until 7:30 tonight.
And people are calling in right now. WRAL's Keely Arthur live at our phone bank. Keely, we understand you have a big announcement.
do have a big announcement, and this is so exciting. I want to preface this with saying even $1 is a donation that we need, but I do want to give a shout out to Karen Durham. She donated $1,000 to the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund and the Red Cross. So major kudos to Karen. Those individual donations are so important, but we're also seeing tons of support from local businesses. And this is why I have with me Karen Latz. She works with the company Closets by Design. Karen, you have a $5,000 check in your hands. Why was it so important for Closets by Design to donate?
A sense of community. Closets by Design has been in the Triangle for almost 25 years now, and a sense of community is definitely needed at this time when our neighbors to the west of us in the state have experienced an unimaginable tragedy and devastation and loss. So when community comes together, we come together with strength and courage, and it's supporting these types of things where the community really shines and we show the power of people when we get together.
We thank you so much, Karen, and we thank Closets by Design and anyone calling in right now. Again, the number to call, 919-595-5005. If for some reason you don't get through, call again until you get in, or go to WRAL.com/help. You can donate online as well.
Keely Arthur, thank you so much, and so grateful for the help out there in our studio, in our area as we come in the building there. I just think of the people who are disconnected in the western part of the state that don't understand. This help is on the way.
Yes, and these donations are tangible ways to show the people in North Carolina, Western North Carolina, that they are not alone in this, and we will help them get through this. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking our weather there. Nice to see the Doppler radar clear.
It is. Of course, we're seeing some sunshine breaking out in a lot of parts of the viewing area. There's a tiny little shower that really I'll have to zoom in on before you can really see it. It's coming across the line from Virginia into Stovall. This is a look at Granville County here, headed down toward Oxford. It's a tiny little shower, but it is the beginning of what is likely to be a few more showers that pop up. You can see between now and 5 o'clock, just these little patches of green that show up on the radar. Eventually, our weak cold front swings through too, and that will also bring us a chance of a stray shower that happens through the evening. And this is going to be very much like yesterday. I know I was out around lunchtime yesterday, and there was just a little quick shower that popped up, and then sunshine returned. And so none of this is going to be heavy. It's just going to feel unsettled with a sprinkle here or there. This is a live look at the airport, and you can see these big cumulus clouds. That's just a sign that we have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And as we have holes in the clouds and that sun's energy reaches the surface, of course, that energy will be translated into more of these clouds and the potential for a few stray showers. 77, our temperature at the airport. Our dew point is 64. That's kind of a middle of the road dew point. It's not as high as it was a few days ago when it was in the 70s. We'll see 80 in Raleigh this afternoon, 78 in Durham, and 81 in Fayetteville. And those temperatures are really just a few degrees above normal. Here's what happens next. That cold front moves eastward to be replaced by high pressure, and that starts to build in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. With more sunshine, temperatures will be a little warmer. We're looking at low to mid 80s for highs over the weekend. And that also will help to cut off our chances for any more of those showers. Here's what's coming next. So this front moves in early next week, and the yellow and orange shaded area are where temperatures are warm. This is where it is cool. And this front that comes through early next week is finally going to deliver a much drier, cooler air mass. And so I think that's something a lot of folks have been hoping for. So a bit on the humid side all the way through Saturday, slightly less humid on Sunday. We're going to see a series of fronts that come through. Right now, you can see the light green shaded area. That's where we have some humidity in place. That stays with us into the weekend. Sunday, we get a little bit of a push of that moving out, but then Monday night, an even bigger push. And you can see on Sunday, it starts to look drier, an even bigger push on Sunday into Monday and Tuesday. Here's a look at the temperature change that goes along with it. Some cooler air back to the west, but none of that really makes it here. We're going to continue to see our temperatures a little above normal all the way into Monday. But then after that, watch how our temperature contours turn to blue. That's going to bring us back down below normal, and it'll be less humid then as well. The weekend looks fine. If you were planning to be out and about, expect partly cloudy skies both days, a high of around 83 degrees, just a very tiny chance of some showers, and we'll see falling humidity through the weekend. We check out early next week, and this is when it feels much nicer. Our overnight lows will be down into the 50s. We'll see a high of 76 on Tuesday. At the beginning of the newscast, we had just a quick look at what's happening in the tropics. There are 3 systems out there that we'll talk about more in detail coming up in just a bit.
Elizabeth, thanks. Groups are on the ground in western North Carolina helping rescue animals affected by Helene. Coming up at 4, the local groups pitching in and how you can help.
Then at 5, nurses, doctors, healthcare workers all coming together to help people affected by Helene. How each of the Triangle hospitals is sending aid to the mountains. And still ahead this noon is a hot summer and the fall has been pretty warm, but the cold weather is coming. Coming up, why your heating bill might be higher this winter.
Also ahead, disappointing pre-sales for Apple's iPhone 16. Why experts believe fewer people are interested in the new model.
New reports show heating your home will cost more this winter. The National Energy Assistance Directors Association expects home heating expenses to jump more than 10% on average across the country. They say the increase is due to colder temperatures expected for the Northeast and Midwest. Electricity use will go up by 13%. Heating with propane or natural gas will increase by more than 7%, and oil is expected to rise by 6%.
The Starbucks Workers United Union has successfully organized and gained approval to unionize at 500 Starbucks locations in the U.S. That decision came after a vote at a store in Bellingham, Washington. However, out of 16,621 Starbucks stores in the U.S., 97% have not yet voted to unionize. New Starbucks CEO Brian Niccol has said that the Seattle-based company is committed to bargaining in good faith with the union as the two sides work on a labor contract.
The social media platform formerly known as Twitter is worth almost 80% less than 2 years ago when Elon Musk bought it. That's according to estimates from investment giant Fidelity. X no longer trades publicly after Musk shelled out $44 billion to take it over privately in October 2022. But Fidelity discloses what it believes is the value of its shares of X. Those estimates serve as a closely watched barometer for the overall health of the company. Analysts say Fidelity's plunging price tag for X likely reflects shrinking ad revenue at the company, which no longer publicly releases quarterly financial metrics.
Apple hoped the iPhone 16 would be a hit due to its new AI features. However, pre-sale estimates suggest a lackluster response. Apple needed strong sales after years of sluggish performance, but early data shows only about 37 million units sold during the first weekend, which was down 12% from last year. While demand for the higher-priced iPhone 16 Pro models dropped significantly, sales for the standard iPhone 16 and Plus models increased slightly. Analysts say that the standard models are compelling enough that customers may prefer them over the Pro versions, affecting overall revenue. Just ahead, Avery County, one of the areas brutally hit by Helene. We'll have an update on the situation from Banner Elk.
And another reminder, our WRAL Cares phone bank is open to help victims of Helene. To make a donation, you can call the number on your screen, 919-595-5005.
Look at last night's winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Like many parts of western North Carolina, the situation in Banner Elk is desperate.
This is what it looks like in Avery County as search and rescue teams try to reach those remote areas. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin is on the ground as the aftermath unfolds.
Communities torn apart by Hurricane Helene are now putting the pieces back together. Here in Banner Elk, infrastructure dislodged with the rising water, and roads like the one behind me completely crumbled away.
Power lines dangling, poles snapped in half. It may be a month before Mountain Electric can restore power in some areas.
There are some places that the road's been completely demolished in like mile stretches, so it's going to be a little while on getting power restored to those remote locations that the road does not even exist now.
Emergency response workers say search and rescue efforts are still underway.
Our workers have been great as far as volunteers, and it's local volunteers. They're tired. they need help with their families. So we're trying to get help in from the Red Cross.
Those who survived the storm now face a second wave of threats. Access to water, oxygen, and medication, and a lifeline for emergency services.
It's the not knowing what's happening around you. It's not knowing if help is coming.
Fosco resident Sherry Trice can only leave her home on foot.
We were able to get diapers.
As one of the few with cell service, she's been helping to coordinate volunteers and pleas for help.
This is an issue of life. This is elderly people that are dying. These are children that don't have what they need.
Despite limited resources, neighbors have been helping neighbors, and supplies have been pouring in from across the state to First Baptist Church in Newland, now a makeshift distribution center for those who can get there.
This will be an ongoing effort for years.
Now a focus on survival, with a long road to recovery ahead. This is a small town with a population of about 1,000, but that swells in the high seasons with tourism. Activities such as leaf peeping, rafting, and skiing attract visitors from across the country. Now, the recovery may deeply cut this area's economy, further hurting residents who are already hurting. In Banner Elk, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
Liz talked about the support pouring in at Banner Elk. Another way to support those folks, the WRAL Cares phone bank, taking your donations to help those affected in Western North Carolina. Our employees will be taking your donations until 7:30 tonight.
WRAL's Keely Arthur is live at our phone bank lobby right now. Keely, keep it coming. We understand you have another big announcement.
I do. This is so fun. And the phone lines are ringing off the hook. So I'm going to probably have big announcements for you every 15 minutes. This is a big shout out to Miss Sapp. She donated $1,000. She said her in-laws are actually a part of the Western North Carolina community, and she wanted to donate in their relief effort. I want you to donate too. Call 919-595-5005. Every dollar counts, but we're also getting a lot of support from local businesses. I have here with me Nikki Dawson of Dawson's Electric. This is a company out of Fuquay Varina. Nikki, why was it important for your company to donate to this? There are so many different ways to help right now.
Yeah, we're WRAL viewers as well. So when we saw all of the destruction and all the devastation, we knew that we had to pitch in and help. And we presented with the opportunity to come and present this check and give back to our neighbors in Western North Carolina. And it was just a no-brainer for us to do that. So.
Well, we thank you so much. And that $5,000 has tipped us past the $100,000 mark. We know this relief and recovery effort is going to take months, if not years. So we need to get that pool even higher. Again, call 919-595-5005. If you don't make it through the first time, just keep trying, or you can go to WRAL.com and search help. Keely Arthur, WRAL Cares.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland, Johnston, and Chatham counties. 2 Cumberland County football games, originally scheduled for Friday, are being moved to different times. A release from Cumberland County Schools says a Friday event will require a large number of law enforcement officers, so there will not be enough officers available to provide security for all the games. The game at Terry Sanford will be played tomorrow night at 6:30, and the Westover game will be Saturday at 6:30. The release does not say what the large event is, but former President Donald Trump will be in Fayetteville for a rally on Friday night. A reminder, there's a week-long donation drive underway in Smithfield. Johnson County's government, the sheriff's office, and the county's emergency services are hosting the drive. Donations can be dropped off at the Johnson County Sheriff's Office on Highway 70 Business East in Smithfield today through Friday until 5 p.m.
Goldston Public Library has rescheduled its indoor plant swap that was canceled last week due to poor weather conditions from Helene. The plant swap will now be Friday, October 11th from 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. At that time, Beatrice Boggs Allen, Belle Boggs, and Richard Allen, who will discuss the new book, Plant Pets. They'll be offering some tips on growing plant pets and will be available for a Q&A session there. That event is free. Our Teacher of the Week says the students in his classroom could teach grown-ups a thing or two about the love of learning.
We as adults, we forget that science can be
fun and joyful.
Just ahead, how a Durham teacher inspires high schoolers to dig deeper and know more about the natural world.
And later, caught on video the moment a police officer rescued a missing boy from a backyard swimming pool. This week's Teacher of the Week worked in wildlife preservation and did a stint with AmeriCorps. Quite a journey before making it to the classroom.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a teacher known for his unique style of reaching students.
Now I will stop and be wholly attentive.
It took Professor Ryder Salmons 10-plus years after earning his undergraduate degree to make it to the classroom.
There is nothing but those things, only those created objects.
Some of that time was spent working in the great outdoors, educating school groups about wildlife preservation all across this country with one goal in mind: to be the best educator he can be.
I want to have experience from informal environmental education. I want to know what it's like to teach outside. I want to know so much of this country, from Minnesota to Colorado to New York.
Professor Salmons got his teaching license this past summer and landed his dream job at the City of Medicine Academy School in Durham.
I'm just so grateful that I get to work with students every single day, and people pay me for it.
For Professor Salmons, it's all about the children.
Their curiosity more than anything. The things that they notice that we as adults, we forget that science can be fun and joyful.
Professor Salmons, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations. How about it?
Hi.
Give him a hand.
Thank you very much.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Love the bow tie look, too. If you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box. An Indiana police officer rescued a 3-year-old boy from a swimming pool.
It was all caught on his body camera.
First before I found him, he's in a pool, 2 houses south, backyard.
Just ahead, why the boy's father says his son climbed into that pool.
Also ahead, an elementary school principal sparks outrage when she said a swastika can be a symbol of peace in some cultures.
Trust issue, and I believe the principal should resign.
We'll explain the troubling incident that caused the subject to come up in the first place. A Washington State elementary school principal is on administrative leave after parents complained about comments she made following the discovery of a swastika at school. At first, parents got a text alert about the swastika on a school wall. The principal called it a symbol of hate and said it had been removed immediately. But hours later that same day, parents received a follow-up email from the principal calling for inclusivity. She told them the swastika has a deep historical and cultural significance in other parts of the world, including Hinduism. And she wrote, the swastika is a symbol of peace, prosperity, and good fortune. We recognize that for many of our families, this symbol has a positive and spiritual meaning.
Essentially, the takeaway was that it's okay to have a swastika painted at a children's school.
It is very evident that the intention in this case, painted on the wall, with the specific Nazi appearance, was intended to be a Nazi swastika. I don't think that she's ill-intended. I think she understood the meaning of the symbol. But it's just not clear why the focus is on that.
The school district there plans to address the matter at the Board of Education meeting tomorrow.
An Indiana family is sharing their gratitude after their toddler was rescued from a pool. It was an intense moment caught on body cam video. The child is autistic and wandered off from their home recently. His parents called police to help, and an officer quickly found that 3-year-old there floating on his back in a neighbor's pool.
Every time.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
Today, President Joe Biden will visit Raleigh, and Biden will also make a stop in South Carolina. He's expected to take an aerial tour of the areas impacted by Helene. While in Raleigh, Biden will visit with the State Emergency Operations Center folks to meet with local officials and first responders.
This morning, crews from 5 Wake County fire departments are heading to Western North Carolina to help with recovery from Helene. 20 first responders from the Garner, Hopkins, Holly Springs, Morrisville, and Zebulon fire departments left around 8 this morning. They are the latest crews to deploy. Other fire crews, EMS units, and swift water rescue teams have made their way to the western part of the state in recent days.
You can make a difference right now for the people suffering through the devastation of Hurricane Helene and what it brought to our state. All day, WRAL is raising money to help recovery and rebuilding efforts across North Carolina. Our WRAL Cares phone bank opened at the top of the hour. To make a donation, you can call the number on your screen, 919-595-5005.
Earth's tallest mountain, Mount Everest, keeps growing taller. Everest is growing at a rate of about 2 million.